I'd like to thank the planning committee for having me follow an actual preacher. I'd like your names. I'd like to know where you live. I made a tactical error. I wore my cube glasses, but they're not bifocals. So pray for me. Thank you to this gorgeous and beautiful and meaningful cathedral under the inspired and inspiring leadership of Bishop Buddy for continually opening yourselves to a diverse group of us who love God and want to work together to understand not just the one faith to which each of us ascribe, but all faith. And God bless the ministry of Nolan Williams, who you will hear from soon. Exquisite talent that he lifts up in that sword. Thank you so much to Mr. Utendahl. I look forward to meeting you and thanking you again and telling you that no good deed goes unpunished, and we hope to have a long, fruitful relationship. My name is Raben. I'm the founder of the March On Festival. It's a civil rights festival. I'm someone who has worked on civil rights my entire career in many different capacities. I'm from Miami. I'm a Scorpio. We've been Jewish for 5,786 years, and I happen to worship at Mount Ena in Clinton, Maryland. But most importantly, I'm an enormous fan, disciple of, and grateful follower, and I hope friend of Reverend Paul Smith. In 1978, Reverend Smith earned his doctorate of ministry in sociology and religion from Eton Theological Seminary in Missouri. That you know from his resume. What grabbed me, among other things, was what he chose to write his dissertation on. Does anyone know what that was? I assume you know. He focused on the relations. Oh, you know? Okay, call it out. He focused on the relationships between Black and Jewish college students. I imagine in that research and writing he was reflecting on, among other things, the slow march he'd been on from Selma, Montgomery 13 years prior, and the multiracial throng that grew, ending with horribly the murder of Viola Liuzzo, a white mother who left her young children in Michigan to meet the time's challenge, or the Jewish and Black young men that were murdered in Neshoba County, or the partnership of Rabbi Heschel, Reverend Theodore Hesburgh, and Dr. King. Or perhaps Reverend Smith was reflecting on his tenure as Associate Vice Chancellor at Washington University in St. Louis, where he taught and counseled thousands of students from every walk of life. Or whether that dissertation was the cause or the effect of Reverend Smith, now Dr. Smith, seeking the tutelage of Howard Thurman, who pastored the country's first significant interracial and intercultural church, at least one in which all the members were treated equally. And maybe that was what was behind the decision to agree to pastor in 1979 an all-white church in Decatur, Georgia, which because of his love of people and the gospel of Jesus Christ became multiracial and thriving. There are millions of Americans touched by Reverend Paul Smith's love, his care and concern. He introduced Dr. King to now Ambassador Young. He opened his esteemed pulpits to extraordinary leaders of arts and letters, Mark Morial, one of them. He has insisted that each of us has something to offer, and if we offer it together, the world changes for the better. March On, for years known as the March On Washington Festival, was created, tended to, and supported for precisely Reverend Dr. Paul Smith. We were formed when, during a tour of Alabama and Mississippi with Congressman John Lewis, I found myself in conversation with a woman who I thought at the time was older, and then you learn as you get older. I had a long conversation with this woman, and she had been an usher, among other things, at Dexter Memorial Church during the tutelage, during the pastoral period of Dr. King and Vernon Johns, who preceded Dr. King. And she was still giving tours of the parsonage in the early 2000s. She'd been a member of the Montgomery Improvement Association and helped lead the more than 380-day that day in and day out sacrifice collective action to preserve our dignity as a nation. I came back after this conversation with her and thought, history is told through the icons. What would it look like if it were told through the battle soldiers? The people who actually run the movements. March On is a platform to tell the stories through film, art, student engagement, and scholarship of the stories you thought you knew, but didn't know quite right. We aim for every program to have the audience asking the question, why wasn't I taught that? And what is my role in this story? We are the secular version of Reverend Smith's gospel. And we are guided by an absolute saint, Kim Callahan, who helped put this and so many other important things together. Thank you for your leadership, Kim. As I experienced Reverend Smith, he was always on point with those same two questions. Do you know this lesson? And where are you in this story? From the pulpit to the fireside chat to the sidewalk conversation, his entire walk is about connecting people, identifying the best in us, and encouraging us with that smile and chuckle and serve. I'm not playing. The precise word to answer the question, where are you in this story? Where are you in this fight? Where are you in this movement? Reverend Smith preached in this chapel the Martin Luther King Day sermon in 2023. He reflected on his family, his grandmother, Mrs. Overby, and her wraparound porch, and the wisdom that people sought from her. He talked about the Selma March and his efforts over the years to bring the learning from the period to the modern times, including trying to mentor the leaders of the Black Lives Movement recently. But his charge that day in the sermon was, from Dr. King and others, to sail farther into the harbor, to wade much deeper into the water, to have the courage to dive in, to not, as they say, admire the problems around us, but to take the risk and do something. Reverend Smith has at least twice led the program at March On, a program in this very church about the amazing Father Divine, and a program on aging and intergenerational torch passing of civil rights. At March On, we try to stay far out in the harbor, deep in the water. We lift up Sarah Collins Rudolph, the fifth little girl bombed in the 16th Street Baptist Church, blinded but not killed. She's a living victim of American domestic terrorism. We helped Claudette Colvin, 65 years after her arrest and conviction, get that felony conviction for Jim Crow violations expunged. She carried her entire life a record. We, with Bishop Buddy's permission, in this very church, had programs where we asked the role of the white church in the civil rights movement. Everything that we do at March On is meant to embrace and follow the values that Reverend Paul Smith lives. Bear witness, make the change, tell the truth, show others how to do the same. Happy birthday. We respect you, we love you, we appreciate you, we praise and thank you. March On, sir.